Starting. 3, 2, 1, go and all that. Parachute and I spinning you and love Vermont. Let's just say this. Your mom, she forgot that I exist. Didn't half my fault. I just thought to play the victim. Drink alcohol till my friends come home for Christmas, and I'll treat each night as a version of you that I did not have, but spinning a new parachute. My other half will too. All right.
I love cigars. Right. You don't like whiskey.
Bert Kreischer is.
Let's do this. Stop this here real quick. I could just do that. If you guys, if I can be frank for just one moment.
Is one of the biggest comedians alive today, but all the reasons why he is successful is what will likely drive him to an early grave. Bert's comedic persona is the overweight drunken jester with way too much confidence. Well, it's not much of a persona, that's who he really is. Bert's success has been highly scrutinized over the years.
Alright, let's watch this Bert Kreischer video. Why is it doing that?
Many people say he lacks comedic talent, is a full-blown narcissist, and would be nothing if he wasn't friends with Joe Rogan. Others point out that he is a genuine, sweet family man who uplifts everyone around him, but both his haters and fans agree that Bert's current lifestyle is unsustainable, and he is in total denial of the obvious warning signs.
What is happening with
Bert Kreischer is one of the biggest...
What is this? Why is it doing that?
8 of the most infamous cases, starting with EDP.
Let's do this. If I go like this. Yeah, why does that do that? I don't understand.
445.
Oh, fucking hell. Every time I gotta fucking... It's another fucking thing. Every time I try to do something, it's another thing that comes up with it, you know? Why does it do that? When I full screen, it doesn't actually full screen. That's... Every time it's another thing. Like I can't catch a break on this stuff, you know? I really can't. You know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. Let's just watch it like this.
Comedians alive today, but all the reasons why he is successful is what will likely drive him to an early grave. Bert Kreischer is one of the biggest comedians alive today, but all the reasons why he is successful is what will likely drive him to an early... Bert Kreischer is one of the biggest comedians alive today, but all the reasons why he is successful is what will likely drive him to an early grave. Bert's comedic persona is the overweight drunken jester with way too much confidence. Well, it's not much of a persona, that's who he really is. Yeah. Bert's success has been highly scrutinized over the years. Many people say he lacks comedic talent, is a full-blown narcissist, and would be nothing if he wasn't friends with Joe Rogan. Others point out that he is a genuine, sweet family man who uplifts everyone around him, but both his haters and fans agree that Bert's current lifestyle is unsustainable, and he is in total denial of the obvious warning signs.
I say it to my friends, I mean it to my friends, I say it to my wife, I mean it to my wife, and I mean it to alcohol. Like, I love alcohol, I love marijuana, I love cigars. Right. You don't like whiskey. You don't love it. You know who loves it? Me. Right. Who drinks it at fucking 8 a.m. on a plane. Yes. To go disappear. I love whiskey.
Bert Kreischer's
I don't know why he says this story like it's some like beautiful thing. It just sounds sad. I feel like I care in saying this, but this just sounds sad to me. Yeah.
Started by accident due to a Rolling Stone article written about him in 1997. He was in his 6th year of college where he regularly skipped classes, drank until the sun came up, slept through the days, and never planned for the future. He was known at his college as a party animal. Journalist Eric Hedgegaard from Rolling Stone wanted to do an article on Florida State, which recently got ranked as the top party school in the USA. As Eric was trying to find sources for his story, 5 different people told him to link up with Bert. Eric spent 1 week shadowing Bert Bert's life as a college student and realized the article was not going to be about the school. It was about Bert. Bert Kreischer, the undergraduate, released on April 17th, 1997, and told his story of bar hopping, playing frisbee, failing classes, and not thinking about tomorrow. Just reading a few sentences from this thing made Bert into some kind of urban legend. Sometimes when he walked in, people stopped and stared like he was Pablo Picasso or some other famous hole. Occasionally, he whipped out his sunglasses and slapped them over his eyes. The shades made him look sort of raffish, like a Skid Row Tom Cruise, but he wore them only so he could avoid having to say hello to the people whose names he couldn't remember. Bert was essentially being celebrated as an unproductive, passionless degenerate, a persona he would maintain for his entire career. This article was a perfect excuse to try to get into the entertainment industry. Bert decides that stand-up comedy is the route he wanted to take, and a talent agent scouted him during one of his routines at Potbelly's on his college campus. They relocated him to New York City, where he would perform at the Boston Comedy Club regularly. From there, an agent for Overbrook Entertainment, Will Smith's production company, scouted Bert and wanted to sign him to a 6-figure development deal. Will loved Bert and took him under his wing.
And then he was the greatest thing that ever happened in my life. He took me out to Hollywood. He introduced me to all the networks. He taught me how to sell a show. He was the greatest. I saw his dick.
Unfortunately, Bert's Hollywood career would be lackluster. He was able to land small acting and hosting roles, and Hurt Bert was the name of a 4-episode series on FX featuring him performing dangerous stunts. The one thing he did stay consistent with is stand-up, 5 or 6 days per week, working on his craft in front of small crowds for years. He wasn't alone doing this. Almost all of the popular comedians today were right there alongside Bert in those clubs, hoping for a chance to impress an agent that would make them a movie star. After Bert released his 2009 comedy special, Comfortably Dumb, he secured his own reality show on the Travel Channel called Bert the Conqueror, which was again a show about him doing dangerous stunts. But despite this show being the biggest thing going for him, his comedy buddies Joe Rogan and Bill Burr sat down with Bert to tell him some harsh truths. They sat me down and told me, "Your Travel Channel show sucks. You're funnier than that. You need to do specials. You need to do podcasts." Burr remembers the conversation vividly. He was down in the dumps, trying to figure out what the next move was, and Joe Rogan and I were just starting podcasting. Joe Rogan had a hunch that podcasting would be the next big thing for comedians to gain a fan base. They could break away from the old method of hoping for a corporate network to put you on a sitcom so you can sell tickets to your stand-up performances. And he was right. A phenomenon now dubbed the Joe Rogan effect, or the Brogan effect, is essentially that any comedian who is friends with or regularly featured on the Joe Rogan Experience would become wildly successful comedians / podcasters. Brennan Schaub, Brian Callen, Joey Diaz, Tom Segura,
some
Ari
of these are
Shaffir,
good,
Mark
but it's just too many podcasts, man. There's too many podcasts about comedians talking about being a comedian and having a podcast. It's just too saturated. There's too many people doing it, and it's the same conversation every time. They might throw in bow hunting or jujitsu or elks or some shit to kind of appease Joe Rogan, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing.
Norman are just a few of the many beneficiaries of the Brogan effect. Bert was a regular on Joe's podcast from the very beginning, and the JRE community treated him like their funny fat friend who has some of the most ridiculous stories.
I had a dream one time that me and Elvis walked into his hotel room, and there were 4 dudes butt f***ing, right? And no,
your dad.
No,
he used to shit his pants all the time.
In
In
his
30s.
all the time. He used to,
how long would you said the story began with you saying that he shit his
pants
recently?
in a Banana Republic in Beverly Hills?
Bert took Joe's advice and started his own podcast called Bertcast in 2013 and regularly had his comedian friends on as guests. The first 99
Talk about
episodes were
comedy and
audio only,
podcasts.
with the first video podcast he ever posted being episode 100 alongside Tom Segura. From here, he started taking his YouTube channel more seriously.
Hey guys, it's Bert Kreischer. This is my YouTube page.
Bert turned into a full-blown YouTuber, vlogging his family, his weight loss journey, and any random life adventures. He uploaded podcasts along some of the most promising upcoming talent in comedy, and of course, clips of his own stand-up. Bert admits that his stand-up act was very hacky for many years. He liked to riff with the audience and live in the moment. However, he wanted to challenge himself to write something, practice it, and put out a cohesive special that would act as a legacy piece. That special, titled The Machine, would go on to change his life. At the very end of 2016, Bert posted The Machine story that went extremely viral on Facebook, earning over 12 million views in one weekend. To this day, it has 40 million views. The same video quickly gained 4 million views on YouTube and brought him over 100,000 subscribers. Something about an overweight dude with no shirt talking about being kidnapped by the Russian mafia was too good to not share with everyone you know. Bert's fame leveled up from The Machine. He began booking larger venues due to higher ticket sales. sales, doing as many as 3 shows per night for months straight. At this point, he received nothing but praise from the internet and comedy world, but he made a critical mistake early on.
It's really hard to do a solo podcast just coming up with a couple subjects and ranting for an hour.
Yeah.
When I started my podcast, I was like, maybe I'll do it solo. He goes, do it solo. You don't need guests.
Yeah.
I was like, and
Bird
I did
said this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I did a couple solo. I go, Bill, they're not good. And he goes, they're not gonna be. He was like, let them be bad for like a year, and then they'll get better, and then they'll get really good, and then you won't even think about it, and then your writing on stage will be so strong. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna have guests.
This is a good insight into Bert's mentality. Instead of using his podcast as a tool to practice jokes and material to make his actual job as a comedian better, he decided he would rather just waste a couple hours chit-chatting with his buddies while the money flows in. But often, those conversations led to Bert being the butt of the joke, especially when he linked up with his best friend Tom Segura. Tom was exploding in fame due to his wildly successful Netflix special, Mostly Stories, which helped fans discover the Your Mom's House podcast. On one episode, Tom pulled up a picture of French actor Gerard Depardieu and jokingly said it looks like Bert. Then Tom's fan base started photoshopping Bert's face onto pictures of Gerard and spreading the hashtag #BertIsFat.
Because it was all their best fans making hilarious fucking jokes. One guy took the name Burnt Chrysler and made his own fucking profile for it. By the way, I saw him in Hartford. He's obese.
Yeah.
He's obese.
Enormous.
And he just sat in the front row the whole time going, Bert's fat, Bert's fat. Next day, his mom shows up. Hey, buddy, your mom's morbidly obese. And the first word she says to me is, why are you so fat, Bert? And I'm like, oh my God, this is getting out of fucking control.
Someone even made a song dedicated to the meme.
I just maybe it's
interesting
me.
part about-
This is not at all funny. This is like middle school humor, but you know, some people think this is funny. So I don't want to be like a Karen. I know I sound like a Karen talking about this stuff, but yeah.
About this is that Bert did not think he was overweight, and it was Tom and his fans that tricked him into thinking he was fat.
Pull up a picture of me when you think I was fat, and I wasn't even that fucking fat.
No.
Now I look at it and I go, I was legit skinny. And now, when I look at it, and I go, I can't believe I got mind tricked into being fat. There's some of these
you
ones.
didn't get mind tricked into being fat.
But these seem like harmless jokes compared to when Ari Shaffir genuinely disrespected Bert and put his life in danger. But before we talk about that, allow me to introduce you to Maggie. She's a mini schnauzer, and she's a part of the CC family. Would you feed your family low-quality food that lacks the nutrition they need? Didn't think so. So you shouldn't feed your dog like that either. Maggie is an old lady, and getting her a healthy meal is more important than ever. That's where today's sponsor, Sundays, comes in. Sundays is 100% human-grade food full of ingredients you'd likely eat yourself. Unlike most premium dog foods, it's not frozen, and there's no prep necessary. Just scoop it into their bowl and watch them enjoy. And let me tell you, Maggie absolutely devoured this bowl. Sundays is vet-founded and vet-run. Their goal is to make feeding your dog nutritious whole foods as simple as possible. You can now get 50% off your first order of Sundays. Go to sundaysfordogs.com/PatrickC at checkout. I know your dog is a part of your family, so treat him like family. Thanks, Sundays. One night, Bert invited his friend and fellow comedian Ari Shaffir over to his house to do a podcast. Ari shook Bert's 13 and 15-year-old daughter's hands, walked into the podcast room where they were going to share some drinks. Then Ari decided to secretly slip a capsule of MDMA, aka Molly, into Bert's drink without him knowing.
You don't think it's fucking crazy that you would do that?
A bit.
Did you even get the Molly tested? Like, where are you buying this Molly?
I've done it from my favorite Molly dealer. It's
And you
great
just
Molly.
spiked
It's
his
great.
drink?
Yeah.
High blood pressure, high cholesterol.
Emptied out 3 guys. You're all talking
I would
about
want
what
to
ifs.
kill you.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
fucking want to kill you.
He wanted to for about 10 minutes.
I was planning on having a couple drinks with you and then getting you out of my house, having dinner with my children, relaxing, getting on a plane, and going on tour. Instead, that's scrap.
Joe laughs off the situation.
Yeah.
Tom thinks Ari is a psychopath, and Bert was genuinely distraught about all of this. Any normal person understands what Ari did was dangerous, but the comedy community had mixed feelings.
I don't trust him because he spiked Bert. He gave his friend Molly. That's not okay.
It's not okay.
But wait, that's
These
hilarious.
guys are also
though.
like 50, 40 or 50.
Already
You know?
dosing Bert. You want to dive into this first?
I think that Bert likes any hype that he can get. I think he's okay with it in the end.
My mistake was not getting his wife. That way, she got upset at me because she felt left out. I think that was the biggest issue. No, I don't know. I'm not going to dose him again. Unless the opportunity arises.
Say something.
No,
If you
I'm
have
not.
to dose him again, it would be fucking hilarious.
Most people in Bert's situation would never talk to Ari again, especially after the blatant, unapologetic disrespect to his wife and family. But Bert made excuses for Ari's behavior.
I'm gonna give him Molly. We're gonna get high. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna hang out all night. He didn't really calculate it. Like he was like, I should have checked to see if his kids were in the other room. I should have checked to see
if he had to make dinner or something.
My wife was making dinner for both of us to have dinner with the girls because my girls loved Ari, and he's like, and he didn't check that I was flying that night. I was starting my tour that night. So there's a lot of things Ari didn't like check the boxes for.
This is even crazier considering Ari has disrespected Bert's daughter Georgia before this whole situation.
Ari had commented on Georgia's teeth. Georgia, her teeth are great now, but when she was younger, she didn't have any enamel on her teeth and they didn't look great. I posted a picture of me and her in Hawaii, and Ari was like, way to have ugly, no stupid fucking teeth.
Oh.
Bert's actions, or lack of action, prove that he will allow others to take advantage of him and disrespect him. Or you could just say Bert is a sweet guy who is trying to give his friend the benefit of the doubt. Either way, Bert just kept seeing more success. He released his third comedy special, Secret Time, on Netflix when the Netflix comedy boom was at its peak. He started another podcast alongside Tom Segura called Two Bears, One Cave that became an instant hit, especially for moments like this.
You're drinking Kool-Aid to start your day? Really?
It's so good.
You're drinking a good 64 ounce. So much.
Okay, it's over. I don't even.